Gledate Balkan u Evropi. Ja sam Borjan Jovanovski. Jedan od razloga kaskanja balkanskih država iz razvijenih zemalja članica Evropske unije je i kvalitet obrazovnog sistema. Nažalost, na sva rangiranja međunarodnih relevantnih organizacija, države Balkana su na dnu tih ocjenjivanja. Nasuprot balkanskog obrazovanja je skandinavsko i osobito Finska, koja godinama redom je prvi ili najmanje između prvih 5 u čitavom svetu. Koji je recept za uspjeh ove skandinavske države? Na ova pitanja danas odgovore tražim od mojih gosti, zastupnica u Evropskom parlamentu, gospođa Hena Virkunen. S nama je gospodin Svetozar Malinoc, poslanik iz Bugarske i član Komiteta za obrazovanje u Evropskom parlamentu. I u gostu sam pozvao Jarija Mata Riheilena. Pa da počnemo redom sa gospođom Virkunen kao bivšom ministricom obrazovanja. Kako bi ukratko opisali uspeh vaše finske priče obrazovnog sistema? Šta je razlog što je Finska tako dobro rangirana na svetskom nivou što se tiče kvaliteta obrazovnog sistema?
Yes, this is of course very difficult question also, and we have been trying to find out it also in Finland, that what is our secret when we are looking at the rankings. We were very surprised that we were topping the rankings in first time when they were published about 10-15 years ago.
To nije bila vaša ambicija da budete najbolji, nego ste slučajno ispali najbolji?
Yeah, but of course in Finland we have been investing a lot to education for decades. So it started already 150 years ago when we recognized in Finland that we don't have any other resources. We have only human resources. And of course we have forests also. But human resources and forests. And we decide that we are investing in education and we will give the opportunity to everyone to get free education in Finland. So it's a long journey also in Finland that we have came to this position. 150 years we have been investing in education. And I think if we should find out one main reason what is the secret of Finnish education, I think it's the quality of our teachers. Because we have very good teachers in Finland, and teachers' profession is one of the most popular professions among young people. So all the best students, they want to become teachers. And it's a very different situation than in most of the European countries. So I think that is the most important key element why we have so successful education.
Zadnje podatke koje sam našao je da Finska ulaže oko 11 milijardi godišnje u budžetu izdvaja za obrazovanje. Kad govorimo oko prestiža profesora u osnovnim i srednjim školama, koje su njihove plate? Kakav je to prosek?
They are not very well paid. They are paid okay, but if we are looking at other OECD countries, for example, they are in the average. So it's not because of the high salaries.
Šta je onda atraktivno za njih da budu?
It's more about the whole profession, because in Finland the teachers, they have master education from universities.
Moraju imati.
Yes, and 5 years master's education at the universities, and it means that they are experts their own work. So it means that they have a lot of freedom in their everyday work. For example, they can choose their own teaching methods and teaching materials themselves. They have very much freedom. They are the best experts of their own work, and it means that there isn't nobody controlling them all the time, that how they are teaching. The teachers, they can choose very much themselves.
Šta je onda vaša uloga kao ministar, kao ministarstvo? Kako vi utičete na njih? Koje su vaše obaveze u odnosu na njih?
Yeah. In national level, we have core curricula and we have minimum standards in the national level. But in Finnish system, the municipalities, they are running the schools, and often they have also their own curricula in the municipality level and sometimes also in the school level. So we are just setting the minimum standards in national level, but then there is also little bit differences between the schools and between the municipalities. For example, how many lessons they are giving. And they can do some extra if they want in the local level.
Gospodine Malinoc, vi kao član Komiteta za obrazovanje ovdje u Evropskom parlamentu i kao poslanik iz Bugarske, kako komentarišete to da su naše balkanske države, nažalost, uvek na dnu, a Skandinavci uvek na vrhu kad je kvalitet obrazovanja u pitanju. A kvalitet obrazovanja, kao što je rekla i gospođa Virkunen, je veoma značajan oko toga kakve ljudske potencijale odgajamo.
Well, first of all, let me make really great compliments to your system. You have a lot of fans around Europe. You have a lot of fans in Bulgaria. Actually, I'm not going to go into that, but there are elections in Bulgaria, and one of the nominations for educational minister, I'm not going to say her name, is a great fan of your system. Of course, we like your system, understanding that there are some major differences that we simply cannot accomplish, like the GDP per capita, but
ali tu nisu u pitanju plate. Ja se izvinjavam što sam vam prekinuo, ali sam namjerno pitao ovo pitanje gospođu Virkunen.
It is when the difference between the GDP per capita is 1 to 4, 1 to 5. But I agree that there are some things that can be done without money, or without the money that that your country actually puts into a teacher's salary. What we, from our perspective, like in your system, is that you were brave enough really to put the teachers at the center. For years, even for ideological purposes, we were not putting the teachers at the center. We were putting something else. I'm not going to say what, but just remember that we have a communist system that has been in place till the beginning of the 90s. So there are some other goals. And at the same time, the structure was serving these ideological and other goals. That's why, by the way, we have such an enormous structure, such an enormous control over the teachers, because freedom is not valued. And when you actually suppress the teachers, of course, even if they are the best teachers, it's very difficult for them to teach the kind of freedom and creativity to pupils. So that's our legacy. You don't have that legacy. So you see, it's not the money, but they also don't have the legacy of something like totalitarian regimes we had. And unfortunately, in the good or bad sense of word, educational systems are very conservative. So I hope that after 25, 30 years after the communist regime, now we have a new generation of people dealing with education. What we like really is that openness. We are very strict, and in a way we are very competitive. And I can make some personal kind of remark here. I was a very good pupil. I'm not boasting with that, but I was a very good pupil. And I was not aware how all these very strict controls, all this competitiveness actually was affecting my friends. Years later, when I was hearing the stories from my friends, I understood how suppressive that system is. And now when I have my children, some of them through the education, I understand. It's amazing that you don't have grades for such a long period of time. My daughter was kind of assessed on the 3rd month while she was 1st grade on mathematics. All of them were assessed. So they see themselves number 3 or number 15, kind of from the very first day. And that's why we have competitive system, which produces excellent quality at the highest level. And at the same time, when we go to the basics, Bulgaria is far behind. On the other hand, our elite schools are producing world champions in mathematics and informatics, but our basic level is very low. Just in comparison with you, we are very much aware that that was the wrong way, but the whole system, in a way, is wrong in that respect. We have this division between elite schools and ordinary schools. And you can imagine how you would feel if you're not in the elite school.
Finska je šampion isto u jednakvosti. Jari Mati, zvali smo ga da s nama spodeli šta znači biti obrazovan u tom finskom edukativnom sistemu. Možete li nam dati neke ilustracije, nešto što se sećate iz vašeg osnovnog i onda srednjeg obrazovanja u Finskoj, što vam je ostavilo utisak i što vas pravi živjeti ovdje u Briselu, u jednoj veoma multinacionalnoj sredini, što osjećate da vas pravi boljim ili drugačijim od ostalih?
That is quite a difficult question, but I'll see if I can think of something. I went to school from mid-80s to mid-90s. And yeah, we started learning. In those days, it was English only. You couldn't really choose the first foreign language, for example. We studied that when we were in the 3rd grade. And in general, we had quite short school days, not so much homework. That's still the case in Finland, that we have this system that you are not under pressure to.
Jedanput kad ste kući, onda nemate domaće zadatke. Onda to je gotovo.
Well, of course, there were a few exercises that you were supposed to do for homework. So it was like no homework. But since I work in the field of education here, I've heard, you know, in many countries there's lots and lots of homework, and that puts pressure on your, you know, on your whole life, only from early age.
Kako se obraćate profesorima? Sa gospođo, gospodine, titulama profesore ili?
No, we speak with the first name, or usually we just say, teacher, please, could I do something? Yeah. So it's, we don't have titles as such.
Nema odnos kao prema nekom autoritetu koji se mora poštovati nešto specijalno, ili?
Well, yeah, of course and in my day, obviously, I think there was still a bit more, the authority figure was the teacher, but now, I'm not sure nowadays, it could be a bit more informal, I think. So, but yes, it's very much not so kind of hierarchical thing in Finland in general, in many issues either. So.
Rekli ste da ste bili u tom obrazovnom sistemu u 80. godinama. To je još vreme hladnog rata. Znamo šta Rusija predstavlja za Finsku u to doba. Da li je u toku obrazovanja, da li ste imali te teme ili lekcije da je Rusija za vas zakana, da je opasnost koja vam preti sa istoka? Da li je to bilo u sadržajima obrazovnog sistema u to doba?
Yeah, obviously, yes, we studied history and we knew all the context, but in Finland at those days it was still, okay, it was starting to change towards 1990.
Jedno je istorija, drugo je pitam oko onih aktuelnih okolnosti u to doba.
Well, I can't remember that it would have been presented as the enemy, that's for sure. So, but obviously, that's if you, what I've heard that in the Balkans you present the neighboring countries a bit more kind of adversarial terms. We didn't have that at that time anymore, I think. See, if I remember correctly, now it's a long time ago. But,
oko istorije koja je na Balkanu, gospodine Malinov, odgovorit ćete kasnije na to pitanje, koje je problem u odnosima između državama, između nacijama, jer svako na svakog vidi, u drugoga vide neprijatelja i sve predrasude od neke prošlosti se još provlače kroz kurikulume u obrazovnom sistemu. Kakav je slučaj kod vas? Da li Ministarstvo obrazovanja obazire pažnju na to? Kako se, na primjer, kako učite o Šveđanima? Vi ste isto tako, kao Finska je i Finci imaju ne tako jednostavnu prošlost u odnosu sa Šveđanima. Kako su Šveđani predstavljeni sad te epizode teške u vašoj istoriji odnosa Švedske i Finske? Kako su predstavljeni u istorijskim čitankama?
Like I said, in Finland we have quite a special system that the teachers, they can choose their teaching materials themselves. So we don't have anything like official books or official or one series of history what they have to teach. We have core curricula where certain, of course, the sectors are mentioned which have to be covered, but the teachers, they can find out themselves what kind of books, for example, they want to use, and so on. So we are not controlling.
To je skroz autonomna odluka profesora koji predaje. To ćete kažete?
Yes. Yeah, teachers, they can do it themselves. They can choose what kind of... They don't have to use books at all if they don't want. They can use digital material, for example. And of course, that is one of the things what we try to teach also for our kids, the critical thinking, that they have to be also critical themselves and they have to also find the information themselves and so on, and teacher will help them on that. So, but I think that is one specialty in Finnish educational system, that really we have the shortest school days in OECD countries, and then the teachers, they have very much freedom in their own work. So we have just core curricula in national level, and then they can make decisions quite much in school level and in the classrooms.
Spomenuli ste kritičko razmišljanje. Da li je to imperativ koji vi kao država, kao ministarstvo smatrate da se to treba, da to treba bude zastupljeno u obrazovnom sistemu?
Yes, of course, we have to think also, in the same time when we are very proud that we have good results in PISA, PISA and so on, we have to all the time think that how we can improve our educational system. And of course, we have to think also what kind of skills our young people, they will need in the future. And I think that kind of skills like critical thinking and digitalization and how to work in digital work and team working with the other people and that kind of skills, they are needed more and more in the future. And we have to prepare, of course, the kids for the future. So that's what we try to teach also for them, that they have to, because now we know that there's many kind of information coming all the time and propaganda and fake news. And it's the best way to prevent, for example, propaganda and fake news, that the people, they have good basic education and you have good quality media and large freedom of press in your country, that the people, they can have the right information and make the decisions themselves.
Gospodine Malinov, šta mislite, kako bi izgledalo ako profesorima po Balkanu ostavimo da oni sami uče istoriju? Da oni izberu od koje će čitanke predavati istoriju o drugima na Balkanu. Da li bi to bilo bolje ili gore?
Well, I can say that maybe the next generation of teachers can be left with the freedom to teach what they want. But I'm definitely against leaving the teachers of the previous generation and the present generation without any state control. And I know how bad that sounds, but it is complicated. Our history on the Balkans is tragic. We have been at war with all our neighbors at some point in history. We have been part of the Turkish Empire, it's Ottoman Empire, but let's put it that way. The Turks deprived us of nation statehood and everything for 500 years. And at the same time, we've been on different sides during the two world wars. And the cliché, betrayal, stabbing in the back, all these kind of things are all over the place, not only in our country. So in a way, you need a really special policy for the Balkans. I know it's impossible, but really how not to teach history, but how to overcome history. Well, it should be understood. The people who live in history on the Balkans and are dealing with this too much are actually violent nationalists. They are of no use to their countries. They were of no use for Bulgaria 20 years ago, and I would dare to say they are harmful to the political process in the other countries when they are dominant. So this should be overcome. People don't understand that as understanding and overcoming, they understand it as neglecting. So there is too much history, too much tragic facts, but we should live in the present, and actually, I think that we all should become part of the European Union. And don't you think that the Germans or the French doesn't know their history when they come here and they discuss things? Don't you think that the Polish doesn't know their history? They don't bring it back on the table. It doesn't make any sense. So I would really abstain from absolute freedom for teaching history at the moment, because the tradition is that there is a strong connection between history, teaching history, and nationalism in our region. That should be separated. Not knowing your history will help you, but really understanding in another way that it is history, there are lessons from history, but it is not the reality. Some people are living really in the reality of 19th century. And that's ridiculous.
Jari, oko istorije. Jedan od problema o kome govori gospodin Malinov, a koji generira nacionalizam, je ta glorifikacija svoje nacije i na izvestan način prezentacija drugih kao nacije koje imaju manje vrednost, da je vaša nacija najvažnija. U tom smislu, kako ste vi učili o finskoj istoriji, o finskoj prošlosti, u vezi odnosa sa vašim susedima u Skandinaviji?
I think my memories in my school days, we still had, well, probably still have, but I was kind of, especially, of course, it depends on school, but, you know, you still have this kind of, let's say, positive kind of nationalism was trying to be built. Not so much against others, but, you know, because we are a small nation, relatively young, that, you know, you have this kind of, that, you know, you don't build it against others so much, but, you know, since we are small, we can be proud of our nationality and...
To sam teo da pitam. Uče vas da budete ponosni na šta u Finskoj? Šta je to što vas pravi ponosnim Fincem?
Well, many things. I think our society is very, it's relative, equal to compared to many others. Obviously, every society has their problems. This is one thing that we want to be proud of, I think. And our nature, all these kind of things. But as I said, it's not so much built against enemy. Well, obviously, we know our problems from the past, but it's not still that, you know, how it's built in our system in schools and such.
Kako definišete kao političar finski i bivši ministar obrazovanja i ministar u drugim resorima, kako definišete patriotizam u Finskoj?
I think in this year we are celebrating very much the success story of Finland, because Finland is celebrating its 100 years anniversary of independence in this year. So it means that I think during this year we are...
Za balkanske ustave vi ste prilično mladi.
Yeah, we are 100 years old now.
Samo.
And I think one of the most important things for Finns in our history is that really we think that we have been a very poor nation. We haven't had anything, and during these 100 years we have been working much. We have been investing in education, and now we have very good skills, everyone in Finland, and we are one of the most well-being countries in the world. So I think that's the thing what about we are proud in Finland, because we see really that our past, it haven't been very rich. We didn't have nothing, and we have been doing a lot of work. And of course also Second World War, it plays a big role also in our history, because we think that we survived and we were fighting against our neighbor. And after that we have been working a lot, and we have get big industrialization and now digitalization in Finland, and we have survived, and we are a very well-being country now.
Gospodin Malinov, završit ću s vama oko ove definicije patriotizma. Šta je patriotizam u Bugarskoj?
First of all, some historians would say that this is the only country that has its name from the very beginning till the present. For more than 13th century, that territory has been called Bulgaria. And there are Bulgarians there, and there were Christians. The second thing that I think Bulgarian patriotism should step on is that we have been the spiritual center for a long time of that part of the continent. Not during the Byzantine Empire, not all the time, but we have been spiritual guide. And the alphabet, the Bulgarian alphabet, it's at the heart of the Cyrillic alphabet at the moment that I used. Let's not go back who invented that, but it could turn out to be like some Greek aristocrats. But what is important is that we have been this at that region. And we have our religion, we have our culture even when we were conquered by a Muslim
Razlika je u tome što su oni ponosni kao patrioti na realne, nove vrednosti, mi na istoriju.
Yes, yes. If you tell me now what I'm proud of is that we have overcome the legacy of communism and we are part of European Union. By the way, European Union, maybe Bulgaria is the country that is most enthusiastic for its membership. And we were capable of doing radical reforms unheard of in the West, simply to join the European Union. So we have that historical injustice repaired. We are part of Europe again when we haven't been for so many years, because I don't think a communist country was capable of covering any of the criteria. We know actually there were two Europes divided by an Iron Curtain, and we are proud that we overcome that legacy. So we are in the beginning of this new patriotism. I have to say that, because to love your country, you love it for what? I love my country as for its history, as for the efforts of this present generation to join the European Union, which is a union for us of freedom and democracy.
Hvala vam, naše vreme nažalost isteklo. Gospođo Virkunen, gospodine Malinov, gospodine Jari Mati, hvala što ste učestvovali u našem programu. To je sve za ovo izdanje Balkan u Evropi. Emisiju možete pogledati i na našoj web stranici aljazeera.net/Balkans. Hvala na pažnji i doviđenja.